Welcome to Carolina Real Estate. Today we're at the Grande Dunes, Vista Del Mar Oceanfront Resort in Myrtle Beach. And we're visiting with Greg Sisson with the Hoffman Group, who's the listing agent for this glorious oceanfront residence. Hello, Greg.
Good to see you, Greg.
Golly, this place is unbelievable.
Isn't it amazing?
What an exciting opportunity to get here, and of course, just to celebrate. Just getting here was a big deal.
Yes, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity and showcase this awesome listing.
It is one of a kind. Real quick about yourself, though, I understand you're not the first in the family to actually sell real estate. Can you share with us a little about that?
Oh, I'd love to, and it's kind of a neat story. You know, my father came to Myrtle Beach in the late 70s as a golfer with his golf buddies.
Wow.
And someone told him once on the golf course, said, "Gary, you'd be a good real estate agent." And at the time he was had drugstores, owned some drugstores in Kentucky, and sold the drugstores, came to Myrtle Beach, got into real estate, and we were here in 1982. And so I got to follow in his footsteps. He later became a real estate trainer and traveled around the country training real estate agents around 1986, 87.
Right.
So I grew up watching my dad sell real estate and then train agents, and now it's come full circle.
Now, did your father, was he involved in helping to train his son, or is that something you went out on your own, or did it your own way?
You know, my formal training when I became a real estate professional was on my own. I didn't use my father, but growing up, I couldn't help but just be trained in everyday things.
Osmosis.
So exactly.
Absolutely, I bet.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many questions we'd love to ask, and I want to make sure we have a chance to do that, but obviously folks are not here watching you and me. They are here to see this glorious residence. Would you be willing to give viewers a little virtual tour?
Oh, I'd love to.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you know, you've got to start really at the very beginning when you drive up to the property. You know, it's a secured resort with a gate at the front with the code. So you come in the gate, and then once you park, if you're a resident, you can park underneath the building, which is kind of neat.
Right.
You've got to get into the building with another code, another security option. But before we get into the building, you've got to check out the amenities. Fitness center, which is state-of-the-art, overlooking the pool and a hot tub and the ocean.
Holy
so
cow.
It's a beautiful setting. As we get into the building, though, private code to get in, very secure. Then the cool thing is, Greg, private code into an elevator that takes you right to your private residence, your personal residence.
So it's a private elevator?
Yes, so the elevators, once you get in, you have to put in your code, and it takes you directly to your personal residence. The elevator opens up, and now we're standing in the foyer of your residence. So that's really cool.
That is one of a kind. That's incredible.
Yeah, so, you know, most people, when they come into this property, when they get off that elevator in that grand foyer, they take a quick left and go right to the oversized terrace and the living area overlooking the ocean.
Right, where we are now.
Exactly where we are now. As we go down to the guest bedrooms and eventually the master, we've got hardwood floors taking us down into the guest rooms. Neat thing about each of these guest rooms, they have their own private bathroom. And one of the guest rooms has this private terrace, which is fantastic.
Wow, this is. And this has beautiful views.
Oh, it has lovely views, very private setting.
Right.
And as we walk back into the master bedroom, huge master bath. You know, double sink, granite countertops here, marble floors, jetted tub, and a separate shower.
Right.
Luxury all the way.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yes.
And as we go into the master suite, the master bedroom, of course, hardwood floors, beautiful ocean views as you would expect in this residence.
Look at this.
And very spacious, isn't it?
It is incredible. Golly, it is truly a residence.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about this unit is, and it is a condominium, but it doesn't have the feel. Now, as we walk into the living space, very spacious, formal dining room, and as we go into the kitchen, one of the neat features that it has is the stainless steel backsplash.
Oh yeah.
That's accompanied by all the stainless steel appliances. As you can see, the granite countertops and still the marble flooring.
This is a wonderful kitchen.
Beautiful kitchen. And as we look out and over the sink, and we're looking out in the dining area, huge picture windows of the ocean. So you're in the kitchen looking right into the Atlantic Ocean.
Does that ever happen? That is incredible.
It's special.
It is one of a kind. Yeah.
Now, highlighting the unit and where people tend to gravitate, this terrace that we have here is just under 400 square feet, which makes it very unique.
Oh yeah, sure.
In a condominium.
Right.
So you've got plenty of space, whether you're entertaining or just want to relax. Beautiful ocean views. It's spectacular.
And there's only a couple of units, I think you mentioned earlier today, there's only a couple of units that actually have this incredible terrace.
That's exactly right. There's 2 towers, you know, amongst these units, and there's not many units here at this complex. They don't allow any short-term rentals, so it has a real sense of privacy and not a lot of hustle and bustle, very laid back, but only 4 units total have this oversized patio, so it makes it, you know, certainly very unique.
You said no short-term rentals going on in here. Wow.
It's the only resort, oceanfront condominium resort in Myrtle Beach that I'm aware of that doesn't allow, you know, weekly or nightly short-term rentals.
Right, right.
Now, the thing that we should highlight also as we're out on the terrace is the private beach, which is not really private, but when you go from Shore Drive, the south end of Shore Drive, there's that swash that separates the Dunes Club and Shore Drive.
Right.
And as you go down and you're going in front of the oceanfront residences at the Dunes, and now we're at Vista Del Mar, down to the Ocean Club, there's just very little residences. So I don't care if it's the middle of the summer or it's in January, it just has a very private feel when you walk out onto the beach.
Right, right. Golly, that is fascinating. And people can take this in. I mean, it is very special, and it looks virtually private.
Yes, it is. And one of the amenities that I failed to mention, as you walk down the beach, you can walk right down from your residence down the beach and walk into the Ocean Club, which is spectacular. And as an owner here, you have a membership that comes along with your dues as you
to the Ocean Club and any other of the Grande Dunes amenities.
The other amenities, which they have, you know, 2 golf courses, the tennis center, lots of the marina. You get special discounts and privileges. But they give you a membership to the Ocean Club, but you get the discounts at all the other places. Right.
That is fabulous. Well, obviously you highlighted the amenities center here, just in Vista Del Mar alone, and the opportunity to be virtually working out almost in the ocean. I mean, to be right there on top of the ocean, to not only be able to walk down to the Ocean Club, either one of them, a perfect thing to do.
Absolutely. Very inspiring.
Yes, and this room in and of itself, Greg, is incredible. I know a lot of folks do gravitate towards the terrace, but if they're not out on the terrace or if it's inclement weather, I mean, they are here and they feel like they're at the ocean. Oh,
absolutely. It's, you know, this room lends itself, I mean, floor to ceiling windows with, you know, oversized high ceilings. Yes. It's a really spectacular place.
Absolutely, Greg. It really is. Well, we just got a few minutes. You know, I was fascinated. I'd heard something about you. I wanted to see if it's the case. Are you really able to serve more than 100 families a year selling their homes? I was just fascinated. I heard that. I wanted to confirm it today.
Yeah. Well, I am fortunate to be able to help so many people every year. You know, I've learned a system early in my career that works. And just plugging in that system, I've got a fantastic staff. I mean, I've got 2 full-time licensed staff, you know, full-time assistants that help me serve my clients. You know, it's key that you communicate at a high level, let people know what's going on with the transactions. You know, I've got 2 people that help me on the buyer side. If I'm visiting with you or other clients, and people want to look at some listings and we have to serve them, I've got 2 folks that are licensed, one of which happens to be my sister, Meredith.
Great.
And so we're able to take buyers out and leverage myself if I'm with someone else and serve them, and that enables us to do, you know, over 100 transactions each year.
Golly, well, it really does require systems. I mean, you've got to get something in place. Is this something that you started early in your career, or is it something ultimately you were able to really work out over the 15+ years, almost 20 years you've been in real estate?
It truly was something that I was fortunate enough to learn early in my career. You know, starting with my father and understanding the real estate process, having other mentors as I started with Century 21 early on, and then moved on to the Hoffman group. So I've had great coaches and mentors. I have a coach now that I personally hire, that we monitor numbers and systems and creates accountability. You know, real estate is interesting business. It's the only business I know of where you can get a license to practice in 2 weeks. Has very little startup cost. You don't have to check in and check out as far as a clock. You know, people get into real estate because you don't have any really anybody on you watching you, And that's the exact reason why so many people fail. So I know that I need accountability, and the coaching and these other processes keep me plugged in, where I go to the office at an exact time, I leave at an exact time, have a schedule. All these processes allow people to be successful.
That's an excellent point. So a superstar real estate professional like yourself turns to a coach.
Absolutely. I mean, the best of the best in any field, they all have coaches. And in my business, it's no different. I have to have someone that can help me analyze, strengths, weaknesses, how can we tweak, how can we improve. And that way, ultimately, I can deliver better service. Because one of my mentors, Greg, early in my career told me, the return you get is exact proportion to the amount of service that you deliver. And so all that, it boils down to giving the best service you can give.
Those are great words. Golly, well, I hope viewers, I know surely they're here to see this incredible unit, but to have the opportunity, this incredible residence, but to have the opportunity to hear from a professional about turning to coaches or turning to other people or really setting a schedule. It's so hard probably for a lot of real estate agents, realtors in general, to really set a schedule, as you said. Because they're all independent contractors. They're not, they're working on their own schedule.
That's
so
exactly
you need a schedule.
Got to have it. Got to have it. Yeah.
That is great, Greg. Well, I know one of the things you're really particular about is knowledge of market statistics. We got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Could you share with viewers, give them a sense of what's happening in the greater Myrtle Beach area, the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors market area?
Absolutely, and it's interesting because we're already we're in the spring. I just recently looked at the first quarter of 2013 and compared it to the first quarter of 2012. So that gives us a good picture of where we are in the past year. A couple things to note on single-family homes, Greg. We saw a 12% increase in the amount of units that sold. So 12% more houses sold in the first quarter of this year than a year ago, which is it's great news.
It is.
The interesting thing about that is, though, that the average sale price was up 1%. So not much, pretty much flat. Median sale price was flat. So we're seeing single-family homes just kind of right at the bottom is what we see based on the stats. Now, on the condominiums, we saw units were up about 8%, 6 to 8%.
Okay.
Prices were actually up 4.5%.
Okay, a little better.
Yes, so inventory is down on condos about 15%, which is significant. And on the single family homes, forgot to mention, the inventory is down about 6%.
Okay.
So condominiums, when we look at these stats, it appears that we are just beyond the bottom. Single family homes looks like we're right in the bottom right now. Now, lots of good stuff happening. Building permits are up dramatically. We're seeing a lot of energy, but that's just the market stats right now. And when we look at inventory and absorption rate, single family homes right now, we have about 4,000 houses for sale, and last month about 399 sold. So we have about a 10-month supply. And then lastly, on condominiums, we got about 3,500 for sale, and about 330 are selling each month. About an 11-month supply of condos right now.
Now, would that be, if you actually take the time to compare it against other markets or other resort markets like ours around the country?
Well, that's a great question. I don't really look at those marketplaces and compare them line by line, but I know a lot of the agents that are friends of mine and that I network with in, say, the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area, the coastal regions of New Jersey, like Ocean City. And we do typically lag behind a little bit from just experience. But those markets are picking up, and as we are.
Wow, Greg. We still have a couple minutes as I think about for you, getting into real estate full-time since 1997. You've represented clients all up and down Horry and Georgetown County and probably beyond this area. To think about, for you, a real central focus here, having been in the market so long. What has been the most exciting aspect of being a real estate professional for you, Greg?
That's a great question. I think ultimately it is the clients. You get to develop relationships that I never would have had. The other cool thing is, in a resort market, about half my business, Greg, is from people that are from outside the area. And unfortunately, I don't even get to meet a lot of these folks. They do it through fax or email. But just being able to meet people and help people sell their properties or buy properties literally from all over the country has been probably the neatest thing.
That must be exciting. Do you remember your first sale?
That's funny you brought that up. When I first started real estate, for the first year, I did on-site sales at a development. I was in Little River at a property, and I remember the client, and I sold him the condo. And the fact that you asked that is strange, because We just listed that condo. They've kept it for 15 years.
No.
They just came back. I just listed the condo about 35, 40 days ago. We haven't sold it yet. That was my first sale ever, and I just listed the property 15 years later.
That is incredible, Greg.
Yes.
Golly, that must be, someone ought to do a story on that.
You know, the story would be when I sell it. So we'll follow up on that later.
That it is, very definitely. If a viewer wants to learn more about you or have an opportunity to come see this unit live time or to talk about the real estate industry in general, what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
Well, check out our website. We just totally redeveloped it. It's gregsisson.com.
Okay.
And then the direct line at my office is 843-390-8896.
I love it. Greg, thanks so much for being with us
my
today. Give us
pleasure.
the opportunity to get in here.
Thanks for having me.
One of a kind. Stay tuned to more Carolina Real Estate with Laura Bowden, a professional interior designer, coming up next. Welcome back to Carolina Real Estate. Today we're at the Grande Dunes Vista Del Mar Oceanfront Resort in Myrtle Beach. And we're visiting with Laura Bowden, a longtime professional interior designer. Hello, Laura.
Hey, Greg. How
Thanks
are
so
ya?
much for coming in. What about
Thank
that
you.
virtual tour that Greg gave us of this amazing unit?
Awesome.
It is incredible. Both of the buildings here, building 2, this unit is, and the terrace here, it's just one of a kind.
It is.
It is really one of a kind. Thanks so much for coming in. You know, there's so many questions that I know viewers would want to ask a professional interior designer, and I tried to lay out, I actually laid out a ton of questions, but wanted to drill down to just a few of them in particular, since we've only got about 10 minutes. What is your design style, and how do you go about approaching your projects? Is there such a thing as a design style?
I think that every designer has a style. I would say that my style is expect the unexpected. I strive to do the unusual. I have a very keen eye for detail, and I'm not afraid of color. I'm absolutely fearless of experimenting with colors, and also not afraid to use very bold accessories and artwork, which is actually one of the trends for the year.
Okay.
So my style would be, I'm very passionate and I love what I do, Greg. And I want everything that I do, whether it's one room in a house to an entire bank building. I want it to be special, I want it to be unique, and I want it to be wow.
Now, being that bold and that fired up by colors, does that mean your clients have to be equally excited about colors and really into them, or do they just step back and let you do your magic?
That's a good question, Greg, because my personal design style is secondary to what my clients' needs and wants are. I work for them, and I try to pull their needs and their wants. I coach them to push the boundaries, to get out of the box, but not so that they feel uncomfortable, because every client that I have is unique, and they have their own story, they have their own lifestyles and their own needs. And it's up to me to translate that into great design. And so that's really what I do.
I'm sure that can be pretty dang tough at times. You know, really, ultimately, I guess a client over time probably even maybe changes their mind a little bit, or steps back and wonders, is this right?
Absolutely. And there's quite an interplay sometimes between spouses. And sometimes I become a counselor. Because it's really about what works for them. It's not about me. I could paint anything, any color, or choose any fabric. It's really about them. And that's where the communication comes into, Greg. I spend a lot of time on the front end when my initial meetings with the client. I have to find out exactly what the problems are, what their needs are, their space constraints, their time frames, and of course their budget.
Oh yeah, critical, absolutely.
Critical.
Well, let's get an example. Is there an example of how a design lift has actually helped a property owner? Maybe you could go through a problem and what the result was.
Well, 6 months ago, I was contacted, well, actually it was about 9 months ago, I was contacted by a client who has a rental oceanfront second home. And they do put this on the rental market, and the finishes, the carpeting was getting tired and stained, the furniture needed replacing, the bar stools were falling apart. So we had to make a design plan for long-term and short-term, because their goal was to eventually retire here, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
And who wouldn't want to? And so we looked at the floor in 3 different ways, because the floor is where we really started with this project.
Right.
You have to get a good starting point. And in this case, we looked at, do we replace the carpet again with carpet? And we'll have to replace it again in 5 years. Will we change to ceramic tile? But we were concerned about tile. It was the most expensive way, and it was also, there was a tendency to the worry about someone slipping, water on tile, and it's very hard. And the clients, she stated that she didn't like the hardness and the coldness of the tile. The third option was a product that we're using a lot these days. It's the wood laminate. Looks like wood, but it's much more durable and versatile, and the properties in being in a humidity space, the moisture and the expansion and contraction with natural wood is always a problem in an oceanfront property.
Right.
So we settled on the wood laminate, and from that started the plan.
Okay.
And then the next thing that we looked at was the furniture wasn't ranged properly. And I say properly because it didn't capture the view of the ocean.
Oh boy.
So I repositioned the floor plan. I moved some of the pieces into other rooms. We also talked about the need for a desk in a rental property. A lot of our clients are working when they're on vacation, checking their laptops. So I actually rezoned this space, which was really like a very large rectangular box. I angled the dining room table and chairs, which that is probably my signature, Greg. I angle just about everything I can. The sofa was in a V. It's much more inviting than furniture lined up against the walls, and it functions. Yeah. And that's really what it's about, Greg. It's about function. Anything can look great, but if it doesn't function, there's no use to do it.
That's a great point.
And the other problem that we had was that walls were needing paint and color. And they had purchased this property with furnishings in place, which were a light wood, and the current paint color made the furniture, if you can believe this, look worse than it really did. Once we changed the colors, the furniture looked new again. Right. So it was transformed with color, with finishes, and then we brought in some new accessories and just reorientating the space. And the result of this, within 6 months, the summer bookings were up 20%.
Oh, come on. Wow, Laura, that must be really electrifying for you. Yeah.
And it's the number 1 requested property of this particular rental company that is marketing these properties.
That is fabulous.
And the homeowners are thrilled, of course.
I bet they are.
Looks
that
great,
is
and it's making them some more money.
Absolutely. Well, I want to make sure one last question, but I wanted to make sure of viewers, if they wanted to get in touch with you or have a chance to learn more about Laura Bowden Designs, what's the best phone number, or is there a certain way to contact you?
You could reach my office at 843 449 8067.
843-449-8067.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we just got a couple of minutes for a viewer who wants to actually update a space with this year's trends. What would be an example that you'd suggest, or are there ways that they could really update their space?
Well, the color of the year, Greg, as you probably know, is green, and it's emerald, and the new black is indigo blue. Wow. So you don't have to paint your whole house green or get a green sofa, but accenting with art and accessories, lacquering a piece of furniture, lacquer and polish is one of the design trends. Right. I would also point out that brass and gold are overtaking silver as the new metal. Wow. And sparkle, and also blending antiques with contemporary. Contemporary continues to be very hot in the market. And we have just learned that from the furniture market in High Point that's going on right now.
Okay, golly. That is amazing. Now, when you say the color of the year, I mean, this is really something, is this just verbiage of interior designers, or is this much more than that?
They name a color every year, Greg, and it's always a shade different than the last green, for example. Right. And it makes it challenging because the greens are all different. Right. And it's exciting to have new things.
And grass cloth, excuse me, not to interject.
Grass cloth, if those of you remember grass cloth, was very popular in in the 80s and 90s, and it covers a lot of wall blemishes. It's very big. Anything textured and wall covering, and people think that wall covering is out. It is not. It is very much in.
Wow.
But it is different than it was before. You know, gone with the borders, and now we're having some texture. The other element of design is more men are working at home, Greg. And we're going to see more sophisticated man caves. And we're going to see some like wood-burning pizza ovens and some golf simulators.
Listen up.
So, ladies, look out.
Okay, absolutely.
We have some men that are going to be involved in the design process.
Oh, that is very exciting. That's wonderful to hear, and I'm so glad you took the time to come be with us this today. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Greg.
Very definitely. Stay tuned to more Carolina Real Estate coming up next. Welcome back to Carolina Real Estate. We want to thank Greg Sisson with the Hoffman Group for opening up this fantastic oceanfront residence for us to film today. If you want to learn more about this property, give them a ring at 843-390-8896 or go online to gregsisson.com. We also want to thank Laura Bowden and her fantastic professional experience of Laura Bowden Designs for filling us in on so many of the wonderful trends today, and the color of the year, and so many other great aspects she went into. We also want to feature a website, myrtlebeachscluxury.com, which has access to all of the homes, condos, land, anything you can find in the entire Grande Dunes Resort. It's right here at myrtlebeachscluxury.com. As you can see, you can search by price, bedrooms, bathrooms. You can even search by keyword if you're interested in private elevator or unit like this. You can find it at myrtlebeachscluxury.com. And if you're looking for real estate, look for Carolina Real Estate.